Welcome back to Kronk Performance, Natty Nation. Today, we're featuring one of our most dedicated natural athletes, someone whose discipline, mindset, and growth have inspired our entire team. You may know him as Amir runs the world, and today we're taking a deep dive into his story, his training, and the lessons he's learned throughout his journey. Amir, thank you for being here and for being willing to share your path with everyone watching. Let's start at the beginning and walk through the key moments that shaped who you are now as both an athlete and a person. So, Amir, take us back to the beginning before you built this identity as Amir runs the world. Where did your running journey first start? What was your very first spark that set everything in motion?
My running journey first started in the summer of August 13th, 2025. So I was at work one day. I'm a construction inspector. So I went to go take a lunch break. I passed by on that same block. I see New York Road Runners, the center for the New York City Marathon. So I was like, all right, let me go check it out. And I'm inquiring, I'm asking questions. Come to find out, they're like, hey, in order for you to do next year's marathon, because I was interested in it, I always wanted to do a marathon, especially at 26 years old. They was like, hey, you have to complete 9 races and 1 volunteer event before next year. So I was like, okay, sounds good. So I just signed up for races, and then I connected with you, Coach Kronk, and then we just created a collab. We just took off from there.
So, you've talked before about how running changed you on multiple levels. What would you say is the biggest difference between who you were before running and who you are now?
The biggest difference between then and now is I'm more disciplined. I take my sleep very...
Gotta speak up a little bit?
You getting better?
Yes.
Yeah, the biggest difference between back then and now, I'm more disciplined. I'm prioritizing my sleep, my diet. I'm not participating in any negative habits as far as drinking, smoking. I quit all of that once I turned 25 in July. I took my running journey very serious.
And when you say negative habits, what type of things would you consider negative?
Like indulging in drugs, substances like drinking, eating excessive junk food.
Okay, yeah, I see what you mean. Now, anything that was kind of just negative towards your health or maybe your well-being overall, maybe mentally not the best for you, or something that just didn't align with progressing your life? Is that where you're kind of getting at here?
Affirmative.
Okay, good. We're going to talk a little bit about your development as an athlete specifically. So basically, when did running stop being just a hobby for you? At what point did running shift from something casual to something serious for you? And when did you realize that this is becoming a true part of your identity?
So when I realized the moment was when I was finishing races, top 10%. And I just started in August. I'm like, wow, like, yo, I'm really talented. Like, I could really make this a big thing. As long as I put my mind to it, stay disciplined, keep practicing, I know I'm going to be great. I know I'm going to win some races in the future.
Yeah, I would imagine it probably built up a little bit of your confidence after you performed the way you did in the first couple of races. It probably made you want to continue pursuing it. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. So with that being said, every athlete has a moment where specific performance flips a mental switch for them. Which PR or race made you realize that you had a real potential in the sport?
Real PR for me was sub 25K. I was like, wow, I was top 1%. The day,
What time exactly did you get?
19 minutes and 14 seconds. I was number 78 out of 7,800 people. And
Wow, it was pretty impressive. And how long were you training before this happened?
approximately, say, 3 months.
3 months. Okay, that's really impressive. Most people running for 3 months. From your experience, where would you kind of gauge them typically to be at?
3 months, I would say on average, probably like between a 23 to a 27-minute 4-mile time, around there.
Which still isn't bad, right? I mean, that's still definitely above average.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, it shows you're kind of blowing out the water, right?
yeah, absolutely.
All right. You and I have been building your training with structure and purpose. How did your approach change once you joined Kronk Performance and started following a more scientific system?
My approach changed once I started seeing how meticulous you was assigning the programs for me. And as time progressed, I started noticing the effects, the results of it. Started getting more recognition from my fellow peers. I had people ask me, hey, what do you do? This and that. Asking me, oh, who's your coach?
Yeah, that sounds good. So Do you get a lot of anecdotal advice from people typically? Like people saying, this worked for me, so I recommend you do this.
Sometimes,
Do you get a lot of that
sometimes I do, but
sometimes?
I take it with a grain of salt. I take the good with the bad.
Yeah, and I mean everybody has their own personal experiences, right? But I guess my point that I kind of wanted to emphasize here was, do you tend to find a difference between taking advice from people anecdotally, like in that same manner, or taking it straight from the research and practicing what the evidence shows? Do you see a big difference in your training when you compare those two types of advice?
Yes, science is the best
Yeah,
way, in my opinion. And I do what works for me. I can't do what other people do. Everybody has their
of
own
course.
system, what works for them.
That's very true. Yeah. All right. So, from your experience, what's the biggest misconception people have about running or training that you wish they understood better?
Biggest misconception with running is, oh, run long as you can and fast as you can. Just constantly boom, boom, boom. No, it does not work like that. That's how you overexert yourself, get injured, and you prolong your progress,
Yeah.
including myself.
Yeah.
I used to think that was the method until Coach Kronk educated me and let me know, hey, this is how it goes.
Where do you think a lot of people tend to get that from? Like
I
training like that?
believe people get that idea from the same concept as of doing strength training. Because if you lift more weight, you're gonna get stronger. The more you keep doing it. So people try to use that as a comparison with running. Say, hey, just run fast, run longer. But no, it's not the same.
And ironically enough, it doesn't really work like that for lifting either. A lot of people seem to think that the same thing, that they could just go into the gym and put on more weight every time and they're just going to continuously get stronger. But it doesn't work that way either with lifting. And that's why I ask, because, how long have you been pursuing this goal in total?
Approximately 4 months.
4
4
months?
months this week.
I guess my question then, right? Because 4 months is relatively new, right? And that's why I decided to ask you, right? Because somebody who's been training for a very long time, you tend to kind of grow a little distant from that mindset that you may have once had. You outgrow it. So when I see a lot of people, behave in a certain manner, I think the best way to figure out why that is probably to ask somebody who's kind of closer or more in touch with that mindset still, right? But that's why I was just kind of curious, where do you think people tend to get that from? Sometimes I wonder if it's from TV, as people see in movies or like cartoons. That's what characters tend to do. They just train as hard as they can, they get better, right? I don't know if maybe it just comes from hearing from other people talk about it, and that's kind of the methodology they tend to go with. But that's why I was just kind of curious from your perspective what you thought that was, or what was really the main cause of that. But yeah, I mean, definitely, I think it is good that a lot of your training is submaximal and that you tend to avoid just the overexertion, right? Because it allows you to train again the next day, right?
Exactly.
All right. So the next question I had for you was, every athlete faces challenges, whether it be physical or mental. What has been the toughest setback you've had to deal with during this journey?
The toughest setback that I experienced was my second marathon. It was Roxbury, Connecticut, November 8th. I saw the progress. I saw how much more faster I got. So I was like, okay, I was feeling good. I was like, oh, I like the speed I got now. I was leading the marathon for most of the time. And then towards the end, mile 18, I just collapsed. Like my hamstrings gave out. Like I had a tingling feeling. I just went into shock to the point where I had to stop and walk. And it hurt. It hurt me mentally because I was like, wow, like I was doing so good. I got fast. That was the most 6-minute mile pace I ever in a marathon. Even though it was my second, but I've seen a huge difference between the first marathon and the second marathon as far as my speed. But it was a matter of fact of pace discipline that led to my downfall with that. Still came in 4th place, but it was a big learning lesson.
That was the first time that this occurred?
Yes.
Okay. And since then, have you experienced anything else like that when training or even racing?
Actually, yes. One time I did an 18 miler. I had the flu. I caught a little cramp. It wasn't too bad. I took a little swig of Gatorade. I was good to go after like 10, 15 minutes.
Okay. So, all right. So tell me a little bit about that. Do you find a lot of times that Gatorade seems to benefit you when you're training?
Yes, because Gatorade has sodium, has carbs, potassium.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Do you drink anything else that's like this that would have the same benefits?
Yes, I drink electrolyte.
Okay. All right. What's your favorite flavor?
Blue raspberry.
Blue ass.
Yeah.
All right, man. So after going through that setback, what did the rebuilding process look like for you? And how did you mentally and physically work your way back into the training and progress?
So I just told myself, like, hey, like, it's okay. Every runner has setbacks. I just got to move forward, learn from my lesson, and just get back in that rhythm. And I know what to do next time. And then I started doing races once again. I was being more disciplined, and I just took the opportunity when it came to it. I was closing out the race, pushing when needed, but not too early or.
That makes sense. So would you say it's almost a little bit better to hold back a little bit when you're performing?
Absolutely.
As opposed to what a lot of people think, to just go all in?
Absolutely. You got to reserve that energy towards the end.
So what would you say is kind of like the biggest theme for marathon running for you? The biggest lesson to be learned in a sense?
The biggest lesson for me is the first 10K, you want to be patient. Actually, let me rephrase that statement. The first half, the first 13.1 miles, you're going to be nice and patient, nice steady pace. After that, you're going to pick it up a bit. And the last 10K, that's when you turn on the jets.
Would you say that there's like perhaps a philosophical lesson to be learned as well, or is it just purely physical for you?
For me, it's mental and physical. It's more mental and
What goes through your head?
like, I made it this far. I got your mission accomplished. Back.
Yeah, can't hold back, right?
Absolutely.
That makes a lot of sense. All right. So now we're going to switch into a little bit of a different topic here. We're going to discuss some of your performance and highlights. So I guess first, for everyone watching who follows your progress, can you walk us through your current PRs and tell us which ones you're most proud of? I know you started talking about them a little bit earlier, but let's go into a little more detail. Let's talk about the mile first.
Okay.
What was the experience with running shorter races? You know, mile, 5K, maybe even like, I don't know, 10K even, but like some of those shorter distances. What was your experiences with running those races in particular and your PRs involved with those?
So with my own experience with the shorter distances, it's total opposite what I stated earlier. Those, you gonna turn up the jets immediately as soon as you start because it's a short distance. There's no holding me.
All right. Okay. So something that I think I have a particular interest in is the way that energy systems typically work, right? When you're talking about, performing in general for exercise, but more specifically, right? Because when we talk about marathon racing, you talk a lot about preserving yourself and saving energy, right? But going all out immediately would imply that your body would probably not be able to physically do that immediately. You would have to do some kind of warming up in a sense, right? So I guess my question is, how do you prepare and warm up your body, right? In a sense, the same way you warm up your car, how do you get it ready to jump right into that second gear as soon as the race starts, as opposed to starting with the sluggish first gear?
So for me, I do my warm-up stretches, the knee kicks, butterfly kicks, I do side kicks, and I do the hamstring stretches. Then I do zone 2 running for like 10 minutes, very slow, to warm my heart up, get the blood flowing.
Okay. So how do you eat typically to prepare for these shorter races? Is it different from your longer races?
No, for me, it's the same process. I eat a lot of carbs, so rice, pasta, leafy greens, spinach, lettuce. I eat lean protein like chicken, lamb, shrimp, turkey.
Okay. A lot of seafood?
Sometimes. Salmon.
Sometimes?
Yeah.
Like any favorites? Or?
Yeah, I love shrimp.
Shrimp?
Yeah.
All right. That was pretty good protein right there. Okay. And then what about the longer distances? Can you tell us a little bit about your PRs and experiences with those?
So with my long distances, my PR for the half marathon was 1 hour, 31 minutes. And the marathon was 3 hours, 23 minutes.
So that's your most recent PR?
Yes.
How did this fare compare to your first attempt at those races, or those distances?
So ironically, my first marathon is my PR. The second marathon is my PR for my half marathon time.
Right.
Connected.
Good deal. So it's okay. So that was the one where you ran really fast in the beginning,
Yes.
and then you kind of burned out. And
Yes.
and that's why you emphasize that lesson of going a little slower and preserving yourself a little bit, right?
Absolutely.
I think a lot of times for me, the way that I would perceive it is that long distance running, it's really a battle of self-preservation, right? It's really this idea where you pretty much have to conserve yourself as much as possible, because in a way, the real race doesn't even start until about mile maybe 20, you know what I mean? And everything else is really just coasting at a pace that you can maintain and know that you're not gonna crash at. And if you go too fast, mile 18 hits like a truck, and then you're probably not going to finish, or you're going to finish injured or very uncomfortable and probably strained. Does that sound about right?
Yeah. I can relate. Been there,
Okay.
done that. Hit the wall.
Yeah, I've been there too, so I understand.
It's not-
You've had some huge achievements recently. What moment stands out as your proudest accomplishment so far?
Proudest accomplishment was me winning the Gunna Wunna 5K.
Oh.
I got the shirt on right now.
There you go.
3 in New York. I got his autograph.
How was that?
It was an amazing experience. So that day, I was the only one in singlet and shorts. Everyone else was sweatpants, hoodie, and whatnot. With me, I can't run with all that. I get hot quick. So I'm like, all right, not the area.
It was cold that day.
Yeah, it was cold.
How cold?
Probably like 60s, 50s, 60s. So
Okay.
I was enjoying the scenery because it's the first time I've ever been over that area. I'm like, okay. I'm waiting for Gunna to arrive. He gets there, everybody starts pulling out their phone, taking pictures, videos. Then everybody lines up for the race. They said fastest runners to the front. So I was like, all right, let me go to the front. And yeah, I just took some footage of Gunna being next to him, running side of him. And I said, you know what? It's time for me to show out. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And then I did it.
How did it feel to run next to Gunna?
It felt surreal. Like, wow, like, I'm next to a celebrity and a superstar.
Yeah. You're a big fan of Gunna?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Gunna.
Yeah, that's perfect, right?
Yeah.
They got to do the thing you love to do most, and you got to pretty much enjoy that moment with somebody you look up to, right?
Exactly.
That's pretty cool. Definitely probably a dream experience for a lot of people out there, I'm sure. And he's touring around the country, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Toronto, LA, Miami, Washington, DC, Houston, and Atlanta.
All right. So he's going a lot of places.
Yeah,
You plan on racing in any of his races in the future?
absolutely. If he comes back to New York City, I'll pop out once again. Try to take that back-to-back. Yeah.
All right. There you
Make
go.
another
Representing
change.
New York, huh? Let's get it, man. Let's keep stacking them up.
You already know.
All right. So, looking forward, what's the next benchmark or milestone that you're aiming toward? What's the next major goal for Amir Runs the World?
The next major goal for me is tomorrow, my third marathon. I'm doing it in Queens at Corona Park. I need a 3:15 or less in order to be Coral A for LA Marathon, which is next year, March 2026.
That's a pretty impressive goal. How much of a difference is this from your best time,
8 minutes.
from your all-time PR?
It's at
8
8
minutes.
minutes.
Okay. And then you said your second marathon was a little slower, right? Because you pulled a muscle, correct?
Yes.
So, how much of a difference is it from there?
21 minutes.
Okay. So, what is your game plan to make sure that this doesn't, you don't have a repeat of last time, and maybe aim for something a little more similar to your first marathon?
My game plan is just to be patient, just go with the flow, incorporate the same plan I had for the first marathon. Do it just like that.
Good, man. All right. So we're going to kind of shift away a little bit, and we're going to speak a little bit about your daily life, mindset, and some of your long-term habits. So motivation doesn't last forever, even for dedicated athletes. And trust me, I know that feeling all too well. What keeps you consistent on the days when you don't feel like running?
What keeps me consistent is the running community. I have Strava. I'm always seeing people like my old trainings, races. So it's like, oh, these people are like liking my stuff. Like, okay, let me get on it. I'm seeing people in the community run. So it's beautiful to see everybody running, staying active. So it makes me want to keep on going. And I know if I take too many days off, I'm not going to progress. I'm not going to reach my goals.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it, right? in a sense, I would even compare you to a snowball. You're moving rapidly, right? I would say that the pace and the speed is improving the longer you go. And so I think in a way, once you get the momentum going, it's really hard to stop. And if you do stop, it becomes that much harder to begin again, correct?
Absolutely.
So I would say that would probably be a huge deterrence for you to stop, right?
Big time.
That makes a lot of sense. And I like that you mentioned that about Strava. Are there any other apps that you like to use to kind of make you feel, I guess, socially connected to other people, or feel like you're not alone when you're running, even though you typically do run alone?
I use the Nike app. The members of the official Natty Nation are that running group, so we're able to track each other's mileage, see how everybody's progressing. And I see a whole bunch of followers that run. They give me props. They ask me for tips. They say I inspire them. So I just try to make sure I'm setting the right example. I'm staying consistent.
Sounds great. Yeah. No, and that's amazing, right? As being probably one of the best athletes for Natty Nation, especially for running, I'm sure you inspire a lot of people, not only within that group, but probably even within your city, maybe even other places as well, correct?
Yes. I got other followers, other individuals from other states such as Texas, Rhode Island, California, Florida. Some people from Africa, Uganda.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
With that being said, would you ever consider maybe setting up an event yourself to get some of these people to join together for a run, or even forming your own run group in the future one day?
Absolutely. My goal is to do at least one hosted group run next year.
That's a good idea. I like the sound of that. So, if you can give one message to new or inexperienced runners, what would you want them to understand right from the beginning?
So I would want them to understand right from the beginning that comparison is the death of joy. Don't say, oh, I'm slow, like I'm not that good. You're putting in the effort. You're just stepping outside. You're running. You're already doing a huge part that most people are not willing to do. So give yourself props for that. And just stay consistent.
100%.
Each week, do a 10% increase with your weekly mileage. Don't try to go too fast or too far. Just take your time. It's a process.
I love that you mentioned that. I think that's a really good sort of mantra to go by. A lot of people focus in general with training and with sports and just anything involving any kind of comparison with themselves and other people. They're constantly comparing themselves to everyone around them, right? And people rarely think and reflect on their own progress. I see it a lot with lifting too. A lot of people come in and are like, wow, I'm really weak compared to you. I'm weak compared to that guy, this and that. And you got to understand that everybody started, as a beginner at one point. So trust me, that the same thoughts went through everybody else's head. And there's always a bigger fish out there, So even the biggest, strongest guys, even the fastest dudes out there, or ladies as well, they all have those thoughts from time to time. And I think it's important for us to remember that really the only person that you need to impress is yourself, and the only person you need to compete with is your past self as well. As long as you keep going after it and trying to get better and better each time, you're gonna feel satisfied and fulfilled at the end of the day. Am I correct? Or
Sure.
how do you feel? That's kind of the way I like to look at it, and I've been there before too, you know what I mean? So I fully understand those type of thoughts, but I think self-efficacy is really important for people, and it's something that in Natty Nation, we really try to focus on building in our athletes. As a Natty Nation athlete, transparency matters. What supplements do you personally use, and how do they support your performance and recovery?
Supplements I use are fish oil, vitamin D3, L-citrulline, ashwagandha, iron, beet gummies. I take BPN GM1 Sport. I take BPN electrolytes. I take melatonin for sleep.
Oh, you got
I
this
have
down to a T,
mixture.
man.
I take one a day Men's Health.
Okay.
And yeah, that's
Like a
it.
multivitamin.
Magnesium.
All right.
Magnesium is the last one.
Magnesium. Okay. All right. Yeah, you got a lot of nutrients in there, right? From a coaching perspective, I do want to put out there that supplements aren't something that you need. And in a lot of ways, right, if your diet targets a variety of foods, you shouldn't really need supplements. However, as an athlete, your body tends to use a lot of nutrients, and it's very easy for you to be deficient in certain nutrients, right? So we supplement those things to ensure that you're not becoming deficient, right? Or malnourished in any type of way. So that makes a lot of sense for you to take, those very generalized supplements. But besides that, I mean, you don't take anything that's performance enhancing or anything
No,
like that, right?
I'm totally against that.
PEDs.
That's cheating.
Yeah.
I think it's
Have you
official Natty Nation. We natural.
You're right. So, have you experienced that in any races where you've seen some of the other athletes maybe abusing PEDs? Have you ran into that yet?
No, I don't know anybody who takes anything.
I know in the lifting world, it's extremely prevalent. I don't think it's quite as prevalent in the running world, but I know there are sometimes occasional issues with things like blood doping. You do see that once in a while. I don't think you see a whole lot of other PED forms, but there are a couple ways that people try to get an edge.
You're cheating yourself. You might as well just work hard, work your way up to that level instead of trying to take a shortcut. Earn it.
All right. So, injury prevention is one of the most important aspects of long-term running success. What strategies do you use to keep your body healthy and avoid setbacks?
So I do light stretches. I use a foam roller. I get massages before my marathons at least 3 days prior. I get a lot of rest, 8 to 10 hours of sleep. And I listen to my body. If I feel like I'm pushing myself a little too much, I'll be like, all right, let me step back a little bit.
And just out of curiosity, how do you communicate that with your coach?
I just let my coach know, hey, like, this is how I'm feeling. I think we should take it a little easy, take a day off, or we should minimize the mileage by a few miles. It all depends. It's circumstantial.
So I'm going to ask you a couple of other questions just to get to know you a little bit better. So the first one I have was that a lot of runners are obsessed with their shoes and their gear. What does your shoe rotation look like, and why do you choose those specific models?
My shoe rotation is the Saucony Pro Grids Triumph and the Nike Alpha Fly 3s. So the Sauconys, they're just regular running shoes. They're basically kind of like trainers, easy on the feet. The Nike Alpha Fly 3s, they have a carbon plate, so they're meant for racing. So they give that extra boost, that spring, but it's not ideal to run in that every single day. It's bad for your joints.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. One thing I was kind of curious about, because you see this all over social media, especially like TikTok and Instagram, a lot of newer athletes are starting out or being told to do things like rotate their shoes throughout the week depending on their training. So some of them are being told that they want to wear certain types of shoes for sprint days, or wearing different shoes for their distance days, etc., etc. So I was just kind of curious what your take on that is, and do you have any kind of rotation similar to this, or do you think it's really unnecessary for beginners?
I think that's a great ideology. I really do. Like, you have a set shoe for certain days, so it increases the longevity of those shoes.
Do you think it's worth money for those people?
Yes, it's pretty expensive.
Yeah, it's expensive, right? How much do those shoes typically run you?
Nike Fly 3s are like $300. The Sauconys, they're like $180.
A little bit pricey, but not so bad. But that's kind of my thing, right? No doubt, right? Like, rotating them is going to be great for balancing out mileage. It's going to be great for maintaining the integrity of the shoe and what their main purpose is. And having a certain purpose for them means they're going to wear in different ways. So I definitely see the benefits. I guess my question from you as an experienced athlete, would you recommend to beginner athletes to invest the money into that right away, or do you think that's something that maybe could wait until later? What's your opinion or take on that?
I believe they could wait till later. There's no need for them to rush into it.
I agree. At what point in their running career do you think that it might be appropriate for them starting to implementing things like that?
When they're doing more races, like 15 races a year, they're doing several marathons. They have aspirations of going to the Olympics, like very serious goals.
That's perfect. So that's going to lead us right into our next question. Every runner has that one run that has completely humbled them. Which run forced you to reevaluate your approach or mindset?
Roxbury, Connecticut Marathon. And that was it.
It was rough afterwards.
That one was tough.
Was it?
That was the worst pain I ever felt in my life with my hamstrings.
Wow. And did you ever get that checked, or was that just kind of like just continued training after a couple of days of rest?
I took like almost 2 weeks off. That's how much pain I was. Took a little bit to recover.
The thing I found very interesting about this, right, was that, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you went into this race almost immediately after another race. Is that true?
Yes, it was a month after. Yeah.
Month after. Okay, so you had a little bit of time, but not really enough time to fully deload and then kind of re-ramp yourself back up to that pacing. Do you think that maybe played a role in your results in that race?
Yes. That and those two.
So that makes a lot of sense, right? And it's one of those things where I think a lot of times we tend to get a little bit, a little too amped, get a little bit ahead of ourselves. And it's very easy for a lot of athletes to, I think, almost accept where they are. You'll see it a lot, guys are lifting, they'll try to make an attempt at the bench, right? Maybe it's 225 or whatever it is, and they drop it. They don't quite get it right yet. And they immediately try to keep doing it again and again and again. And it's like, obviously they're not going to have it, but there's a little bit of a denial sometimes. I think as athletes, we tend to have. And I'm saying this from the mindset of an athlete, right? Like, I'm also one, I train and I've been there before myself. And so I understand how easy it is to get stuck in that loop of like, I got it. I'm gonna go back up at it and try it one more time. And this is gonna be the one. It's just, I'm gonna deny physics and everything that logically makes sense and attempt it again, right? And so I guess, how would you explain to athletes how they can best avoid getting stuck in that loop?
So with the same concept with lifting weights, don't ego lift. And you just gotta take it easy.
Swallow your pride.
Yeah, swallow your pride, basically.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, man.
Yeah.
So you've made phenomenal progress in a relatively short time, right? I think we were talking about, what was it, 4 months, you said?
It's 4 months. 4 months next week.
Wow. And you're ready, about to do your third marathon tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's incredibly impressive. What do you think truly separates you from the average runner?
The difference between me and the average runner is I'm running in the sleet, snow, rain, hot. It doesn't matter. I'm out.
All right, man. Yeah, I mean, I respect it, right? There's a lot of discipline involved. I think there's a lot of risk associated with training. I guess you have such an aggressive style of training, in the sense that you always, you're a go-getter, you're going right after it, right? It's very admirable and very respectable, but I don't know, do you recommend for the average person to be training in that manner, or do you think it's something that it does play considerable risk and maybe it's not meant for everybody to do?
I think when it's like icy conditions, no, or like it's too much snow. But for me personally, I feel like it's beneficial because it builds that mental toughness, because most people are not willing to do that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I've dealt with a lot of athletes who are the same way. I think it's very common in the mind of the athlete. There's certain things you tend to see a lot. And I think one of those is this almost, I don't know, thirst for things to just be hard all the time,
so
right? They feel like the harder the stuff is, the better it is for them, the more satisfying it is to climb that mountain. And so I think as athletes, that's a common theme for us. And for some people, they should be careful because some of them do some crazy stuff that really can get people hurt. Do you think that sometimes athletes could be setting a bad image, or maybe giving off a bad idea for other people to be following in their footsteps? Or do you think that maybe it's good that they're inspiring people to challenge themselves?
It really depends. It all depends on the circumstances. Can you give me an example?
For example, let's take an athlete like David Goggins, goes on these crazy 100-mile runs, 200-mile runs. Do you think from him doing stuff like that, do you think that maybe one, it inspires people, or do you think maybe it's kind of setting people like a bad example because he just is being reckless with his body? What's your take on that?
Really tough. For me, I say it's inspiring because it inspired me too, but I feel like if people want to chase that dream or goal of being an ultra marathoner, they have to work their ways up. They can't just go straight into it like, all right, I'm gonna do 100 miles tomorrow. That's how you're gonna miss your...
Yeah, it sounds like you're talking about progressive overload, which a very important concept to train by. A lot of people do get ahead of themselves, so I think it's really good that you mentioned that. And earlier you mentioned a specific number about how much they should be progressing by every week.
10%.
10%?
Yeah.
Okay. And you say you have 2 other points?
Yes. So back to the statement you made earlier, the question you asked me in regards to running out in these different temperament or different climates. The reason why I run in all these different climates, because I know race day, the weather's not always gonna be perfect. So I gotta expect the worst.
That's a really good point. It's almost like you're training the way you're gonna fight. You're not gonna allow yourself to be caught by surprise on race day. And I think that's something that a lot of people could take some notes from. But you do have to prepare properly for those temperament weathers that you're going into, right? Like if you're dealing with a lot of snow, how would you prepare for that versus the heat?
Snow's kind of a challenge. I would say just train inside on the treadmill, or like shovel snow nearby your neighborhood, make it like a clean trail, and you could run around that.
That makes a lot of sense. Have you had any difficulty with that this winter?
So far, no.
Good
Hasn't
deal.
been that much
Yeah, 'cause you
snow.
live in the city, right? So, a lot of athletes have a goal they're almost afraid to admit publicly. What is that big, ambitious goal for you?
Big ambitious goal for me is being on the Olympics, being an athlete competing in a marathon.
That sounds amazing. So you want to compete in the Olympics someday?
Yes, sir.
When are you aiming to do that by?
2032 in Australia,
Okay.
the Brisbane.
Australia. I would love to see that happen, man. And you seem like you have the mind for it. You're progressing incredibly fast. I think if you keep chasing after it, it's very possible. Just stay hungry. Don't lose that momentum. You know, you're still very young. Just started training. You have a lot of time ahead of you. Keep at it and you will get there. Let's end this on something meaningful. At your core, beyond the numbers and races, why do you run and what does running truly mean to you?
To clear my mind, to bring happiness into my life, and just keep me nice and healthy. In addition to that, to inspire others, like, hey, like, you should go out, you should run, stay fit, do productive, healthy activities. Don't go drinking and smoking.
That's incredibly admirable. You know, you're setting a good example for not only the people in your local area, but people everywhere, right? And I think the more you pursue this, I think that's something that you can continue to do. And if that's something that makes you feel fulfilled, I say go forward, man. With that being said, is there anything else that you want to leave as a message for Natty Nation and for all the people, all your viewers watching Amir Runs the World?
The message I have is just keep at it, stay hungry, stay consistent, never give up. And if you have any disabilities, try your best to overcome them. Anything is possible. Don't make yourself short.
100%. All right, Amir, thank you for sharing your story and your mindset with us today. Your journey is a reminder that growth comes from consistency, discipline, and believing in what you can become. Watching you evolve as an athlete has been incredible, and we are excited to see where this takes you next. For everyone watching, keep following Amir Runs the World as he continues pushing the limits of what a natural athlete can achieve. And as always, stay locked in with Kronk Performance and Natty Nation. We'll see you in the next one.
Sounds good.